Walker, Director of Cranbrook Schools. And I hope that you allow me a few minutes to catch you up with a lot of different things that I think might be of interest to you. But more importantly, I think that you will share with me in a sense of pride where the school is. So with that in mind, what I'd like to do is first of all, welcome each and every one of you. We're so proud that the power of the place, the power of your experience, the power of your friendships brings you back. I'm not sure who's responsible for the weather. If you like it, even if it's a little hot, then I'll take credit. If you don't, we'll find somebody in the audience to hold responsible. However, this has been such an extraordinary year for the school, and it began with our opening enrollment, which continues after 4 straight years to have exceptional retention. Most independent schools in the country, and these are large schools, usually day schools, if they get to about 92% retention, that is considered really good. For the 4th consecutive year, we hit 96% retention. We have 1,660 students that come to us from 19 states and 24 countries. And it is really a very special group of students that we have, as you'll learn in a few minutes. That we now go from 3-year-olds all the way to the 12th grade. We have approximately 260 boarders. Do I sound like I know some stats here? But it is quite wonderful because it brings a very strong school community. And I think the indication of the strong retention gives evidence of that. Both by surveys, by what students say, we find that our families are very happy. This has been also an extraordinary year, and I hope that you pick up the Crane Clarion, that's the student newspaper, and see the different kinds of awards that both the faculty and the students have won this year. I'm just going to mention a couple. It's really hard for me to pick those and not really celebrate that. But the first one that I would tell you is that we have a U.S. Presidential Scholar. There's usually only one scholar scholarship that's awarded in the state, and one of our graduating seniors earned that particular distinction. Similarly, that one of our middle school girls faculty was honored and recognized for her work in the area of physics, science, obviously physics is a science, but other than physics, and technology. She won, and she was the only national educator that won this, was the Alan Shepard Award for an educator in, again, technology. Why that's so significant is because the daughter of Alan Shepard called her to congratulate and thank her for all the work that she does. Again, it was only one person who won that, and it was a girls' middle school educator. We continually do well in robotics. 3 of our middle school teams made it to the World Finals. I don't see Betsy here, but Betsy Lamb certainly was responsible for that with her work of the middle school students. And a number of our students also, many of you will be pleased to know, have started their own businesses. And so there's a lot of entrepreneurship that is going on, including the Young Entrepreneur Club. So there is a lot of different awards that our students have won. And I really invite you to take a few minutes to check the student newspaper, because the student newspaper also achieved excellence in journalism, getting recognized by the highest award given by Columbia Scholastic competition in the area of journalism. So we're very proud of what happens, and including athletics. Our students had a great year. For the fourth consecutive year, the boys swim and dive team took state championship. This is singular in the state, but it's not the whole story, because once again, we have a number of teams in state competition: golf, lacrosse, and we also had two students who distinguished themselves in state competition in tennis. So tennis is alive and is doing well, and the recognitions continue to come. So I share this just as a moment of pride, and I hope that you can find and talk to me about some other awards and strengths that is very self-evident. This was also a time where we had a real sense of community. We now initiate something called the Friday nights football games. So for those of you who struggled without recognition of any night lights, were able to temporarily get permission from Bloomfield Hills to put lights up on the football oval, and literally the whole school comes out for those times, and that has been very, very special to see. Similarly, we have continued with World Affairs Seminar. I think Ben Snyder, who, as you know, passed, is smiling down because the strength of that program again continues, and it's very well thought of. And we also sponsored a TEDx Youth Conference here, and that involved both the Institute of Science and the Art Academy, and we had the whole community involved in that particular event. So a lot of very interesting things that are taking place, and again, it's led by our students. As you walk the campus, as I hope that you do throughout the weekend, you will see different kind of safety and security upgrades. I hope that if you want to get cool, you stop in the hockey rink and see that we even have an alumni room there. So on the second floor by the weight room for our hockey players. And there's a proud coach, Andy Weidenbach, who, if you have an hour, will be happy to tour you of the facility. And if softball for the girls was your area of interest, go out in the backfield and you see that we have new softball dugouts. And similarly, something that the kids love here is that we have in the old home ec room changed that into a student cafe. And so it's also air conditioned. I might bring that to your attention. And it's a way of the students coming, eating, and even the girls on the weekend in the dormitory find that as a more intimate space to have breakfast, have lunch, have dinner. Probably the thing that we are most proud of, however, is the announcement we made with our MIT program. We have established a relationship with MIT, and they are doing professional development training of our faculty in design thinking. They are working with our students in different kinds of programs. We're hosting a national conference here, actually in just about 2 weeks, on design thinking. And so this relationship with MIT, we think, is very special, and it is really based on the direction that we're moving in the area of innovation. We have 54 faculty who self-identify to serve on the innovation teams, and it has been highly successful, and it's revolutionizing our approach to teaching and learning. And we have been able to do much of this because of our own alumni, and so I want to thank, but I also want to acknowledge some of our special gifts that have come forward. First of all, from the class of 1957, they raised $115,000 in honor of their 60th. And we're very grateful for the leadership of Jim Akers, Mike Hermanoff, Ruby Jean Gold, and Jean Graham. Similarly, the class of 1977 raised more than $160,000 in honor of their 40th, thanks to the efforts Well, we know who loaded the reunion here. Julie Rodecker, Eric Booth, Allison McAdam, Andy Craig, Leslie Jones Zeller, and Paul Machuro. Thank you, the class of 77. I mentioned about the Kingswood Cafe, and you know, it's really funny. There have been 3 very special gifts that have come in at the exact time that we have needed it. When we were trying to move for the Kingswood Girls Middle School, what happened is that we got a gift unexpected for $2.5 million, which allowed the project to go forward. That came out of the blue from the estate of a Kingswood alum. This Kingswood Cafe happened in the same way. Nancy Trumbull, and it's Siebert, okay, not Seibert. Nancy Trumbull Siebert from the class of 1947 would have been celebrating her 70th class reunion, but it was her estate that allowed us to go forward with a Kingswood Cafe. And the thing, if you know about Nancy, is that Nancy was all about keeping the Kingswood spirit alive, keeping the girls active, and one time she and one of her friends, Claire Whiting, all of a sudden called me and said that they were coming over and bringing this wooden bench that they were going to put around the sister's fountain. And so I made arrangements to help them, etc., and they would come and check on it. I swear to God, every time they were checking on it, somebody had moved that doggone bench into a different place. So it was Nancy's interest that we kept this bench by the fountain. So I think this is her way of saying, well, Arliss, if you can't keep the fountain, you know, the bench by the fountain, we're going to get something to keep people by the fountain. So it worked. Anyway, she was very generous, and we were able to bring the cafe to fruition. We're also thrilled at a very special gift, which is the second largest in the school's history, and that is a person by the name of Michael Conroy, who's not an alum, but left his entire estate, about $5 million, to support scholarship for his deserving students. And in doing so, he's made a difference in the lives of children. What is so special about this is he just came and used to walk the campus. He also played against us in athletics. So you always have to be nice to your opponent. That's the message. At this time, however, this year I would be remiss not to recognize also some faculty who were very generous in terms of their time and service, and that is Rich and Betsy Lamb. I see Rich here. Rich, would you mind standing, please? Rich has been not only a dorm faculty member, he headed the computer science department. He started programming here, but most important in my book, he led the very special tradition. He was the pageant coordinator that happens, and without Rich and Betsy, that tradition wouldn't have been as special as it continues to be. For your information also, Bob Cowie is back on campus. Some of you know him, and we will be having a memorial remembrance service of his wife, Bonnie. And if you are interested and were a former student of his, it'll be 3 o'clock in the Cranbrook Reading Room. I mentioned already Ben Snyder, who was such an icon here of his passing. There will be a memorial service in September. And also, Hal and Jean Smart, who were Brookside teachers, you may have learned that Hal died, and there will be a memorial for him and Linda Van Dam at Brookside tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And it is people like that who I think influenced children throughout the years. And so if you knew them, I know the families would appreciate your presence and your support. I have to tell you that we had 2 special graduations yesterday, and that's no small part for the distinguished alums who will be formally introduced to you. Jules Pieri, Bob Bichek, again from the class of 1977, and even though I'll deny any special relationship to any one class, let's just say I'm spending a lot of time with that group. Maybe they needed that, you know? Maybe they needed it. Anyway, with that weak introduction, let me introduce at this point our Alum Association President, Laura Carfrond, and she's going to take the formal process of introducing Jules. Thank you.
Hi everybody. So fun to see everyone here today. What a great turnout we have for the Alumni Assembly. Obviously due in large part to class of 1977. Arliss, thanks for giving all the highlights of the school year. You know, I, as the current, but almost past my term, president of the Cranbrook-Kingswood Alumni Association, I get to see and hear about these events and these accolades that these students are earning all throughout the year, and it never ceases to amaze me. I was at the graduation ceremonies yesterday. The kids, you can barely call them kids anymore, they're graduates now, but are so impressive, and that is owed in large part to their families, of course, but also to this institution and the leadership that we have here. So thank you, Arliss, and to the faculty and staff that may be in the audience today. I'm a member of the class of 2001. It was like yesterday, of course. This has been a wonderful and exciting week on campus. On Thursday night, I had the pleasure of presenting biology teacher Russ Connor with the Alumni Appreciation Award. And probably a lot of you in the audience had Russ as a bio teacher. I know I did, and I think my mom is still somewhere in the room taking photographs. She had Russ in his 2nd year of teaching. Mr. Connor got on a plane for Kansas City this morning, where he will serve as a reader for the National Biology Advanced Placement Exams. I talked to him on Thursday night about this. He's done this like 20 years in a row or something, and he reads something like 720 exams each time he's down there, so he's got his week cut out for him. As he's touched the lives of so many alumni, I wanted to share the praises that were sung in his honor on Thursday night. The Alumni Appreciation Award has been given to faculty or staff member of the school's community who exhibits a special friendliness and interest in others, continued devotion to the students, enthusiastic support of the programs, and unfailing interest in all aspects of school life, a willingness to cooperate and always do more than the task at hand entails. This year's recipient, gave away the punchline already, has no problem fulfilling those basic requirements. For several decades, this individual has been going above and beyond the call of duty, pushing students well beyond their comfort zones. In his classroom, complacency is never an option, even for the most gifted students. Time and again, he is mentioned by alumni who cite him as the teacher who best prepared them for the challenges that lay ahead as they pursued their undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral degrees. The ranks of our alumni, who are densely populated with former students who have gone on to extraordinary achievements in medical and scientific research fields. The Alumni Association owes a special debt of gratitude to Mr. Connor. Having identified the mentoring of current students as a primary objective of the association when the 2 alumni groups merged about 5 years ago, this faculty member helped champion the fledgling Alumni Career Fair, which has fast become the highlight of the Alumni Association's calendar, connecting a vast array of alumni volunteers, mostly locals, from diverse fields with very, very eager students. His leadership in connecting students seeking senior May opportunities with alumni field supervisors results in dozens of internships for Cranbrook-Kingswood students. Mr. Connor arrived on campus 47 years ago and has been an integral part of the fabric of our school, weaving siblings, their parents, and children together. 5 decades of alumni who share war stories of his biology classroom as a common bond. So we wish he could be here with us today, but I hope you will join me in sending congratulations across the miles to the winner of the 2017 Alumni Appreciation Award, Russ Connor.